The Gem Lab, Gemmological Services by Jeremy Rotham. Who needs a gemmologist? The gem and jewelry industry. Often a client will place a gemstone on the table and ask me to take a quick look and tell them if it is genuine. This is not possible without examining the stone properly and doing a few tests. The reason for this short presentation is to show you the normal procedure a gemologist has to take in order to correctly identify a stone. Keep in mind that every species goes through a different process depending on the stone's optical and physical properties. Let's take a look at this blue stone. The first thing we do is we will place the stone on a refractometer in order to read its optical properties. In this case, we have a refractive index reading of 1.760 to 1.768. This confirms that this particular stone is a sapphire. We still do not know whether it is natural or synthetic. The definition of a synthetic gemstone is that it has the same chemical composition, optical and physical properties as the natural gemstone. An imitation or simulant can be any substance or gemstone. It has a different chemical composition, optical and physical properties to the stone it's imitating. For example, a cubic zirconia would imitate a diamond, but it has totally different properties, so it would either be called an imitation or a simulant. Alright, let's continue looking at our blue stone. So the next thing is to determine whether this stone or this sapphire is a natural or a synthetic. Right, the next step is to place the gemstone under the microscope so that we can look inside it and try and identify the little particles, the little inclusions in there. So this is the sort of picture we could expect to find in this particular sapphire. Or we might see something like that. So we rotate the stone and we look at it in different angles and different directions. And what we need to do is study those little inclusions. Once we've studied those inclusions and we can identify them, then we can actually determine whether the stone is natural or synthetic. In this particular stone, we'll have platinum inclusions, which is characteristic of a Chatham-created sapphire, one that's grown in a laboratory. You would not find platinum inclusions in a sapphire, in a natural sapphire, that is. And in this sapphire, we have ilmenite inclusions, which are characteristics of inclusions that one would see in an Australian sapphire, from the Anarchy area to be more specific. But you can see how the two pictures look very, very similar, and we need to identify those stones, those little inclusions, in order to be able to determine if it's natural or synthetic. Here's another picture, another illustration of two different stones. One's natural, one's synthetic, but you can see how similar the pictures are. So one's going to be very, very careful and know your gemstones, and that takes a qualified gemologist in order to be able to determine which is natural and which is synthetic. Now let's presume that we have a natural sapphire. The next thing we need to do is to determine whether it has been artificially treated or not, which can also affect the price. So heat treatment duplicates a natural process, so it doesn't have to be disclosed. And the rule is that if a treatment such as heat treatment duplicates a natural process and is permanent, it does not need to be disclosed. So the first thing we do is we can place it in methylene iodide, a very expensive liquid. It costs about 3,500 Rand for 150 milliliters. We do use it often. And it's like putting a frosted ice block into water. Because ice block and water have the same optical properties, you can see into the ice block a lot clearer. So this methylene iodide has a similar optical property to sapphire. So you can see by this picture, you can see the color is concentrating at the facet edges. That would be an indication that this stone has been diffusion treated, which is a surface treatment which can be polished off. In this illustration on this stone, that's a natural stone where you can actually see straight through the stone. So we know it hasn't been diffusion treated. There is a new treatment around now which is called the beryllium diffusion treatment, which is a little bit more difficult to identify because we need to study the inclusions to see indications inside the stone of any change that's taken place during the process. Fracture filling has become common practice in rubies and sapphires. And what we look for is this red color. And if we rock the stone backwards and forwards, the red will go on and it will go off. And also an indication of fracture filling is bubbles. Let's have a look at the price differences. Let's say we've got 5 blue sapphires, all 2 carat, all cut exactly the same. They're all of a very good quality, of the same quality, and let's say a final grade of 80%. According to the guide, such a stone would wholesale for $2,800 per carat. So the calculation is the weight, which is 2 carat, multiplied by the wholesale price of $2,800 per carat, multiplied, in this case we've used 14 Rand to the dollar to bring it to rands. So we've got a wholesale price for a natural sapphire of 78,400 Rand. An unenhanced Burmese sapphire, that means that it doesn't even have any heat treatment, and the inclusion suggests that it's come from the Burmese area. We're looking at a wholesale price of $5,400 per carat, which gives you a total of 151,200 Rand for the stone. A more sophisticated synthetic, such as the Chathams, they're trading at $180 per carat, which would give us a stone, wholesaling at 5,040 Rand. The most common synthetic around, from the Vinoil process, which was registered in 1902, so they've been around for a long time, trade at about $20 per carat, which gives us a wholesale price of 560 Rand for the stone. And then you can pick up a natural stone which has been diffusion treated for around 250 Rand. The problem comes in when the diffusion treated sapphire is worth 250 Rand, the most common synthetic, which is worth 560 Rand, and some of the more sophisticated sapphires worth 5,000 Rand for the stone are selling at 78,400 Rand or 151,200 Rand. This is the reason why you need a gemologist and why you need to get your stones checked. At times it takes very expensive and sophisticated equipment to aid the gemologist in reaching a conclusion. The equipment has to be used and the results interpreted by an experienced, qualified gemologist who has the knowledge of the gemstone properties to reach an accurate conclusion. GemLab offers jewelry valuations, forensic type work, courses, positive identification of all gemstones, colored stone certification. With the jewelry valuations, we can use an A4 format or we use a certificate size format. This particular example is of a gemstone appraisal. Forensic type work we do is, if a stone goes into the workshop or taken in by a jeweler and it changes, for example, it gets fractured or the color changes, then it can be sent to the laboratory and we'll do a full report on it with photomicrographs. The report will stand up in court. The two most common courses we run is the 3-day practical diamond grading course and the basic gem identification course. We also tailor-make courses to suit the jeweler's needs. Here's a few examples of stones that have come into the lab. This stone came in as an imperial topaz and turned out to be glass. These two pendants came in, they're 18 karat white gold with diamonds, and the green stones were supposed to be green tourmaline and they turned out to be glass. And often a mistake that people make in the trade is that they presume the stone is genuine if it's been set in platinum or 18 karat gold. This was an interesting stone that was imitating tanzanite. It's actually glass. The refractive index overlaps with tanzanite, and it was also showing red under a tanzanite filter. It's the first time I've seen glass give the same result as tanzanite under the tanzanite filter. Here's an interesting ring that came in for testing. It's 18 karat yellow and white gold and diamond, and supposed to be zoltanite set at the center. Zoltanite is the color changing variety of diaspore. And this lady bought it in Turkey where zoltanite is mined from a reputable jeweler. You can see that the stone is green when viewed under daylight equivalent. It goes pink under tungsten lighting. The natural stone also goes green under daylight equivalent and also pinky color under tungsten lighting. Colored stone certification. We grade our colored stones according to Ian Campbell's ICSL colored stone grading system. It is the most accurate system I've ever come across. It was developed in the 1980s and is used by most of the major labs internationally. The color temperature of the light that we use is a consistent 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Kelvin, and we do a comparison using transparencies for accuracy and consistency. We brought out a smaller cert, which is the size of a credit card, which is becoming very popular. You can see an example here of a gem identification. We also do and offer the bigger cert as a gem identification, which includes a photograph. Full colored stone report, which gives you the full breakdown of the stone, from the color grade, deducting all the points that take away the beauty of the stone till we reach a final grade, which will actually relate to price. We do the large cert tanzanite report as well. We also put the details on the back of the cert so that you don't have to fold the cert inside out to find out what the information is. And also a photograph is included. Jewelry reports, we will actually grade a stone while it's in the setting. And the mini reports we can do the mini tanzanite report. The only difference is it doesn't include a picture. gem identification. We also issue a mini cert for a stone that's actually been certified in the setting. That concludes our presentation. I hope you found it interesting, and I thank you for watching. If there's any way that we can help you close more sales, because that's what we're here for, is to support you and to help you, please give me a call on 021 761 1746, or please send me an email.